July 11th, 8:17 in the morning. Everything on Earth felt normal. People were going to work, children were heading to school, birds were flying peacefully across the sky, and nobody knew that in just a few seconds, something would happen that would change Earth forever. At first, people noticed something strange. Breathing suddenly felt harder. It was as if the air was still there, but their bodies refused to accept it. People walking on the streets suddenly stopped. Some grabbed their throats, others collapsed onto the ground. And then, birds started falling from the sky. At first, everyone thought it was a chemical attack. Others believed it was a new deadly virus. But a few moments later, scientists discovered the horrifying truth. The oxygen was gone. Not half of it, not reduced levels. Every trace of oxygen on Earth had disappeared. And now, the planet was about to enter the worst 10 minutes in human history. Panic spread instantly across the world. People desperately tried to breathe, but no matter how hard they tried, their lungs could no longer absorb oxygen. The first organ to fail was the human brain. The brain consumes nearly 20% of the body's oxygen supply, and now it was slowly shutting down. Vision became blurry. People collapsed in the middle of roads. Emergency alarms echoed through hospitals worldwide. But even hospitals were running out of time, because oxygen tanks wouldn't last long enough. Now the skies began to change. Thousands of airplanes were still in the air, but pilots were losing consciousness. Passengers fainted in their seats, and several aircraft began losing control. At the same time, birds across the planet were dying. Flying requires massive amounts of oxygen, and without it, their wings became useless. Cities around the world witnessed something terrifying, birds raining from the sky. Now death was spreading through forests. Lions, elephants, wolves, every animal was struggling for air. Pet dogs collapsed beside their owners. Cats hid in dark corners. And deep inside the oceans, something even more horrifying was happening. The oxygen dissolved in water had vanished too. Millions of fish rose desperately toward the surface, but there was nothing left to save them. The oceans were becoming giant underwater graveyards. By now, the entire world had fallen into chaos. Car crashes, train failures, power plants shutting down, and then scientists noticed another terrifying problem. With oxygen gone, Earth's atmosphere was becoming unstable. Air pressure began changing rapidly. Some people felt unbearable pain in their ears. Others started bleeding. But the worst part had not arrived yet. The sun was now becoming Earth's enemy. Because without oxygen, the ozone layer was collapsing. For the first time, dangerous ultraviolet radiation was directly hitting the surface of Earth. Human skin started burning. Plants began drying out. Electronic systems started failing. And humanity finally realized this wasn't just a breathing disaster. This was the beginning of extinction. But then, scientists discovered something unexpected. Some tiny insects were still alive. Ants, beetles, small bugs were still moving slowly. Because unlike humans, their respiratory systems worked differently. But even they couldn't survive forever. Without oxygen, the entire food chain was collapsing. Now the cities had become silent. Massive, crowded streets looked like abandoned graveyards. Cars stood motionless. People lay where they had fallen. And across the world, only emergency alarms could still be heard. But the saddest moment was captured inside a zoo. A little boy was trying to wake up his unconscious father, but by now, almost nobody had enough strength left to breathe. Earth itself was beginning to change. The winds had stopped. The oceans became unnaturally calm, and for the first time in human history, the planet became completely silent. No birds, no traffic, no human voices, only the sound of death. Scientists had only one question left. If oxygen returned, would life on Earth still survive? Because millions were already dead, animals were disappearing, and the ecosystem was collapsing. And then, exactly 10 minutes later, the oxygen returned. The people who were still alive suddenly gasped for air. But the world was no longer the same. Bodies covered the streets. The oceans were filled with dead fish. and the skies were empty. Humanity finally understood something. The air we ignore every single day is the only reason we are alive. We breathe thousands of times every day without ever thinking about it. But maybe the most important things in life are the things we never notice until they disappear. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, because here, facts are not just explained, they are experienced.